What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality podcast. I'm your host. I'm Caitlin Kenna-Smith, and on today's episode of the podcast, guys, we finally have made it to discipline number 5 of the Discipline Bootcamp. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a 6th episode, and I've already told you that a few times during this series, but there is a bonus discipline, and this discipline is probably the most important discipline. However, I don't want to put more importance on any one of these 6 things because I truly believe that you need all 6 of them if you want to build the life that you want. If you want to build the powerhouse mentality, if you want to build that mindset, the mindset where you stop tolerating your own bullshit so you can finally win in life, then you need all 6 of these things. And again, as with everything on the Powerhouse Mentality podcast, this is from my experience and from things that I've seen myself grow with, but also my clients and my family. And, I've worked with people for 12 years, one-on-one, as a coach, as a trainer, as a manager, as a leader. And the thing that I find every single time is that mindset is the biggest proponent to anybody's success. You can be physically in shape, you can be as healthy as possible, but if your mind's not healthy, then it's going to be really challenging for you to succeed. So building discipline is an absolute necessity if you want to accomplish what you want out of life. So let's talk about discipline number 5. And this one's one of my favorites because it's one of those things that kind of just has a ring to it. Like, how you see something on social media, like a quote, or you hear a quote and you're like, damn, that clicks. I like how that vibes. And it kind of like makes your brain explode a little bit. I hope that this does this for you because I think that a lot of you probably need to hear that. So, discipline number 5, consistently good, not inconsistently perfect. And I bet just hearing the title of this one kind of struck a chord within you. Think about it and be honest with yourself. Is this you? Are you always trying to be perfect to the point where you're not consistent? You're just inconsistently perfect. Kind of like that all or nothing mentality. Do you always try to be perfect on your journey? And the moment that you mess something up or something goes wrong, you completely go off in the wrong direction? For example, maybe you're cleaning up your nutrition and you're doing a really great job until you cave and somebody brought donuts in at work and you had a donut, which is no big deal, right? But the only issue is that you turn it into a big deal because instead of just moving on and making the next best decision that's right in front of you and continuing to track your nutrition and just adapting and pivoting and fitting things around the donut, maybe you just have to have chicken breast and egg whites and vegetables for the rest of the day in order to make it fit. But instead of doing that, you turn it into a complete fuck it or complete binge moment instead. So that 200-calorie donut at work turns into 5 guys for lunch. And, you might as well grab a pizza on the way home since you already messed everything up and you can just start again on Monday. The unfortunate thing is that this is where most people stay stuck. They start on Monday, they fail, quote unquote, by Wednesday, or they allow themselves to fail because they allow one moment to screw everything up. And then they say, you know what, I'm just going to get back on track on Monday. And you said that on Wednesday. So then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you have to get all of the things that you love in. All of the foods that you won't be able to have when you start your diet. So then you just gain weight, gain more weight, stay stuck, lose belief in yourself, lose confidence in yourself. And you're breaking all of these promises and commitments to yourself that you no longer trust yourself. And that's where most of you are. Now, the first step is admitting and becoming aware that this is me. Raising your hand and saying, yep, I'm taking personal responsibility. This is me. Because until you point the finger back at yourself and you take responsibility, you will never have the power to change. If you continue to blame other things, other people, other circumstances, for where you're at in your life, you will never have the power to change because where you point the finger of blame is where the power goes. So if you're not pointing the finger back at yourself, then you're powerless. And without the power to make change, then you're always going to remain the same and stay stuck in this cycle. And you know what? To be honest, you deserve better. I don't care who you are. Nobody deserves to be stuck in this cycle because we're so much capable of so much more than we could ever believe. But so many of you stay stuck in this cycle because you don't believe, because you keep doing this and you keep breaking promises because you just can't be consistent, because you always focus on being perfect. Now, what if we flipped around that scenario? You had the donut at work. Cool. It was 190 calories. You tracked it in your nutrition and you changed up the rest of your day in order to hit your protein and your calories. And you moved the fuck on. So then you had the donut on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You were golden with your nutrition. Because the reality is you can fit these things in your nutrition and have them in moderation and still reach your goals. But that's not how most people do it. Most people turn one thing into 10, 12, 13 things. Most people say, I will have 2 Oreos. And then all of a sudden they ate the whole fucking pack of Oreos because they lack the discipline to stop. Which is why steering clear of processed foods is probably the best bet when it comes to starting any sort of nutrition protocol, because you can control yourself. However, once you gain the control and you improve your relationship with food, you can have those things in moderation because you can control yourself. Now, if this sounds familiar and this is you, that right there, like I said earlier, is exactly why you're stuck. So you have to stop being all or nothing. Instead of focusing on being perfect, focus on being consistent. It's not your last decision that defines you. That donut doesn't define you. It's your next decision that matters most. On the journey, you're going to fuck up, you're going to fail, you're going to make mistakes. It's literally an essential part of any journey. You cannot be successful without failing. You can't win without losing. You can't appreciate the wins without losing. And look, I get it. The only difference between those who remain average and those who become successful is this. The average do what's required to build their dream life occasionally. The successful do what's required even when they don't feel like it, and regardless of whether or not they're motivated or inspired. Most of you see a quote on Instagram and you say, I'm motivated and inspired now. I'm going to take action. And that's awesome. I love that you're taking action. But what happens tomorrow when there's no motivational quote that you come across? Have you built the discipline to keep doing the work? Or are you just going to use, I'm not feeling motivated, as your excuse as to why you're not taking action? So anybody can be perfect for 1 or 2 snaps of a finger, for 1 or 2 days, for 1 or 2 blips. But that doesn't move the needle. Showing up consistently and focusing on 1% better, hell, even 0.0001% better. Any percent better is progress. And that's what builds true success and greatness. Small things done consistently over time compound to create massive change. So it's not one big extraordinary thing that's going to change your life. It's the small things done for an extraordinary period of time that make the impact. So as in Powerhouse Mentality fashion, I'm not just going to give you the information. I'm not just going to give you the discipline. But I'm going to give you the application behind it. But before I give you the application, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about myself and about how I discovered this and how I realized, like, oh crap, it doesn't have to be perfect. For a really long time, I was really focused on being perfect. And every time that I wasn't perfect, or any time that I messed up, I'd beat myself up so bad that I lost all the belief and confidence in myself. And when you don't believe that you can do something, then damn, you're not going to be able to do it. One of my favorite quotes from The Magic of Thinking Big is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you don't believe in yourself, if you tell yourself you can't do something, Your mind is going to do everything in its power to prove that right. But the opposite is also true. So if you do believe in yourself and you back that up with action, because belief without action is meaningless, but action without belief is also irrelevant. You have to build the belief along the way. That's really what it comes down to. So in order to take action and apply this, you have to track your consistency. Most people track their progress, but nobody tracks their consistency. So you need to take your 3 daily non-negotiables that you developed back in discipline number 1. So if you haven't listened to that episode, make sure you go back and listen to it so you know what I'm talking about. And measure your consistency in nailing those things. I know a lot of people like visual. I'm a huge visual learner. I love writing stuff down. So I want you to print out a calendar. And you can just Google like calendar template. You can find one. If you have Canva, you can get fancy and you can create one. Now all you have to do is put a big red X on the days that you failed to hit all of your non-negotiables, all 3 of them. And a big green check on the days when you hit all of your non-negotiables. And it's as simple as that. It's either you win or you lose. There's no in between. There's no, oh, I did 2 out of the 3, so I'm good. No, you fucking lost. You didn't do the 3. That's your problem. Most people compromise or they say, oh, that's good enough, but it's not. Measure your consistency over a month instead of measuring perfection on each day. The goal isn't to win every single day. The goal is to become more consistent week after week, month after month. So maybe the first month that you do this, you have 20 days that have green checks and 10 days that have red X's. And then the next month, you have 24 days that have green checks and 6 days that have red X's. The next month, you have 28 days with green checks. You're making progress. You're moving forward. And more than anything, you're consistent. Most people would be so much better off if they went to the gym 3 times a week or 2 times a week instead of going to the gym 6 days a week for 2 weeks and then taking a month off. Consistency is what delivers results, not perfection. And you'll notice that as you're building consistency, you're growing physically and mentally and becoming the better version of yourself. You're becoming the person that you want to become. And more than anything, you're becoming more confident because you're showing up for yourself and you're building that belief in your goal because you're taking action and you see the progress. You'll be building discipline as you begin to keep those commitments you make to yourself. And you're now building your powerhouse mentality. So guys, I hope that this episode was helpful for you guys. If it was, please share it with at least one person. I want to spread the mission of this podcast because I know that a lot of people need to hear what I'm talking about. And go out and do one thing that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be.